News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
Karen, we begin with a primetime address from President Donald Trump. The president took to the East Room of the White House last night and used a roughly 25-minute speech heard live on Bloomberg Radio to revive claims that the 2020 election was stolen.
Tonight, I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence, revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure.
And President Trump pointed the finger at China, claiming it tried to access Americans' voter data.
Over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files.
And President Trump also accused U.S. government officials of trying to cover up Chinese interference and alleged hacking of voting machines from Venezuela. Bloomberg News senior editor Derek Wallbank reports the president's made many of these claims before.
A lot of things you're hearing litigated around the 2020 election, some things that came up at that time that came forward. Now, the White House said that there were new things that they were declassifying and that they were going to put an awful lot of documents out. And they did drop an awful lot of documents on the White House website. It will take time to go through all of those.
And Bloomberg's Derek Wallbank reports Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen plans to hold a briefing today on voting systems.
Nathan, let's get to the latest now. In the war in the Middle East, the U.S. is continuing its strikes against Iran. It has carried out a sixth consecutive night of strikes intended to degrade Iran's ability to attack commercial shipping. Iran responded by attacking U.S. bases in the Middle East. We get the latest with Bloomberg News Director Will Kennedy.
Well, we seem to have fallen into a bit of a pattern. Every night, the U.S. launches relatively limited strikes against Iran, targeting its infrastructure along the Strait of Hormuz. The US says that that will limit its ability to enforce its will in the region. And Iran strikes back by launching missiles at countries in the region that host US bases, Qatar, for example, last night. Thus far, it doesn't seem to have spiraled into a full-blown conflict.
And Bloomberg's Will Kennedy, the latest escalation as oil on the rise once again. NYMEX crude oil up 1.7% at $80.25 a barrel. Brent up 1.3% at $85.35. Oil up about 12% this week.
And Iran was a big focus of the Aspen Security Forum in Colorado. Karen, Bloomberg's David Gura is there. He sat down with Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut to get his take on the situation.
This is the most significant foreign policy disaster in the last 20 years. Iran effectively has control of the Strait. They are going to have control of the Strait for the long run. As a price of opening that Strait, they want all of the sanctions released, which is going to put a lot of new money into their economy, but also allow them to send money out to their proxy groups in the region. This war should have never started. It's hard to figure out what to do now because it's kind of like asking somebody, now that the raw egg is splattered over the floor, how do you put it back together?
That was Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy speaking with Bloomberg's David Gura. You can hear the full conversation and all our coverage of the Aspen Security Forum on Bloomberg this weekend. Catch it live Saturday and Sunday starting at 7 a.m. Wall Street time on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app.
Nathan, right-wing political commentator and former Fox News host Tucker Carlson was one of President Trump's most prominent allies during his re-election campaign. In an interview with Bloomberg's Michelle Hussein, Carlson reiterated that going to war with Iran was a mistake.
I was in agony when I criticized Trump. I like Trump. I didn't want to, and I endorsed Trump and campaigned with Trump and spoke at the Republican National Convention, and I've defended Republicans for 35 years in public, and I had zero interest in having a spat with them. And so I felt driven to my positions. Trump allowed the U.S. government to be completely steered by this tiny little country in the Middle East, Israel, to our great detriment. And I watched it happen. I was offended by it. I argued against it directly to him. That had no effect at all. And then we wound up in a war with Iran that has gravely hurt the United States.
And Tucker Carlson added that if J.D. Vance were president, the U.S. would not be at war. We should note a White House official said no country or leader pressures President Trump to do anything, and he makes decisions based on what serves America's interests. You can watch the full episode of The Michelle Hussein Show on Bloomberg.com/videos or listen wherever you get your podcast. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.